North America, talking to you here at the Great Reskilling about designing your permaculture garden. For that, I will pause regularly. I will pause regularly often. Yeah, lovely.
Thanks, Troy. Yeah, that's cool. I might take it off to stand.
Yeah, you can totally walk and whatever you do. It works.
All right, so good evening, folks. I'm going to use this microphone because there's a little bit of background noise behind us. My name is Andrew Faust. I've been practicing this discipline that you're here to hear a little bit about called permaculture, which is largely associated with gardening. I like to teach this idea of gardening oftentimes from a slightly broader perspective than it's often taught from. Gardening is something that is innately human, and the act of gardening, we could say, is a beginning to our intention to participate in evolution. So I like to get kind of deep about what are we doing when we garden, and what I'll do is use this sort of deepening dimension of what is involved in gardening to give you an understanding in half an hour or so of how to design a garden, how to design a rooftop space, how to design a more urbanized space to be something that is healthier, happier, more enjoyable. How do we create more of a sense of solace in the midst of what I call a not so human-friendly hardscape, which is how I would characterize the city of New York, is that in the main it's a infrastructure that's been designed that is very vehicle-friendly. It's very friendly to highly industrial activities that make it so we can have lights and pumped in air and water and food to eat. But there's not a lot of attention paid to the urban, and in particular to the New York City infrastructure, to what I call the soft, fleshy, biological organism that we know as a human being. So as we think about what are we doing when we garden, we're being human. And what does it mean to be a human on Earth? Because in order to garden in a way that's permacultural, which is a word maybe a lot of you don't even know, so I'll sort of use that as a way to talk about stuff that you might find interesting. To define this word, permaculture is really about restoring and reclaiming our health. So it's this idea of how do we as individuals, through this act of gardening, begin to address a bunch of different problems that exist in the world that arguably there aren't as many proactive, positive ways to address as gardening available to us. In other words, we can address what's going on with social inequity, we can address what's going on with air quality, we can address what's going on with cancer rates, all through gardening. Now, that's with the caveat, of course, that the continued emission of huge amounts of toxic pollution, that needs to stop. Then gardening could heal the air, heal the water, and heal the soil, and heal our genetic integrity. And right now, what we're in is a situation that I call a mitigation situation. Meaning that the continued emission of pollutants is not stopping. And so therefore, we all live in a not so healthy landscape. Right? So when we think about gardening in New York City, we want to sort of pull back various layers of the landscape and get to an understanding of where are we and what does it mean to live here. So where we are is on a rock in outer space, traveling around the sun. It's traveling at about 65,000 miles per hour last time I checked. And it's spinning 1,000 miles per hour east of the equator. And it's 24,900 miles in circumference. And we evolved as naked apes around the equatorial rain belt about 7 million years ago, I'm pretty sure, according to the Human Genome Project, which is the most exhaustive research ever done on our genetic code, which came to the conclusion that we're 99% related to chimpanzees. So, hello, hairless chimps. Thanks for coming tonight. For us to all figure out how to be better, more responsible apes on this planet, so that future generations can maybe inherit a more beautiful world, right? So the long view, right? What is permaculture design? It's about realizing that we're on a rock in outer space, traveling around the sun, that we did evolve as biological organisms on this planet, meaning humans are actually suited to the earth. The way I like to put that is the earth is our home, right? Not high-rise buildings, not piped in, pumped in, trucked in, artificial inputs that make it possible for you to be comfortable. The earth is actually ultimately what it is that gives us a comfortable ride in outer space, rocketing around the sun at 65,000 miles per hour. And as a biological fleshy entity on this planet, it behooves you to know more about what are the workings of this vessel that you're riding on in outer space. And like, how does this planet work? And how do I, as an individual organism here and now, do something with my apartment or my rooftop or my street side garden in New York that's actually contextually relevant to a longer view of our understanding of where we are and who we are. So to garden in a way that deepens the relevance of what you're planting, why are you planting it, what is involved in the act of planting. Right? The act of planting is, as I said earlier, arguably a beginning step in our participation in the process of evolution. And so when we think about a broad view of what are we doing with a garden, how do we understand something like the larger processes of the ecology where we are? So a longer view process perspective on where we are would be to say that we're in one of the oldest mountain range landscapes on the planet, which is the Appalachian Mountain Range, which is estimated to be about 500 million years old. And that's why this East Coast landscape has been able to recover from the European folly that destroyed its forests 4 times consecutively. Right? Let's remember that if we go back and think about the ecological impact of the colonial conqueror exploiter society that we all live in, right? Which is the Western Eurocentric heritage that we're standing on the shoulders of and saying, I'd like to grow a rooftop garden. What is this guy talking about? Don't worry, I'm going to get to that. Because really, this is a lot more fun. And we'll get to the gardening part. It's really easy. Gardening's really easy. But what's fun is really thinking about what are we doing when we actualize our power as humans to do things like dance with plants and with biodiversity on a rooftop in a way that gives us a sense of a better quality of life, right? Meaning that since I want to give a narrative perspective where we connect our sense of identity to the evolution of life on this planet, and we begin to realize that we are